NG Pez behind him, and the McLaren. He's gotten multiple podium finishes so far this season. Followed by Keystone Alfisti, also a strong points finisher. Randy Brown as well, very fast. ABR Skills, CSR Filge, man, all ones to watch. And again, with ABR Boom gone, it is a bit of a power vacuum. Time to see who fills it as we go to 5 red lights. And they're off. Everyone getting a pretty easy start. Is Snips going to get the advantage over Jake? It doesn't look like Jake. They're side by side going into turn 1. Who's going to yield? Could Jake yield? No, Jake comes out ahead of Snips. But no, Snips is going to keep fighting it. There might have been contact there. I think Snips might have gotten some front wing damage from that as he's fallen down slightly. No, he is not fallen down slightly. He's still in P2. I thought his teammate had passed him for a second there, but no, Snips SB is still in second place for the time being. But Moon Jakela has really already stretched out a teeny bit of a lead here, and Snips has gotten a bit of a gap to CSR Multi 21 already. Hopefully now right on board with Jakela. And Snips SB, and we got a yellow flag now in Sector 1, and DC Rapid in the Alpha Tower. He has already spun out. So no turn 1 crashes, but there has been someone spinning out in Sector 1. And that would be the AlphaTauri driver. So, yeah, Matt C, 837, you got a little bit of a turn 1 crash there. But yeah, Moon Jakela overall getting a pretty clean getaway. He's now already stretched the gap to Snips to 9/10 of a second. Oh, CSR West has already come into the pit. What's happened there? I wonder if he sustained front wing damage. Yeah, he's already lost an end plate on that front wing, the right side end plate to be specific. And yeah, that is not going to help with his strategies. He's already being forced to pit on the 3rd lap. I thought it was the 2nd lap, but apparently it is the 3rd lap of this 27-lap race. And it'll be a huge stretch for CSR West to keep those hards going until the end of the race. And now Rustable Eel. And actually, I think the timing charts are having a seizure right now as Sergeant Icevan gets in the grass, gets passed by a JD there. Reel in Moon Jakela a little bit. Mercedes driver not letting the Alfa Romeo get away just yet, and NG Pez has actually passed CSR Multi 21 and Rustable Eel, and he's gotten up to P3 now, and he appears to be catching the both of them. Although CSR Multi 21 still there in the background and behind him, Rustable Eel still holding on to P5 from Brandon Brown in P6 in that McLaren car. Riding on board now with Snips SB. He'll have the DRS here, and now DC Rapid has just retired from the session, and that's going to bring out the safety car. We've got an early race safety car here on lap 3 of this race, and I'm not sure what's happened there. We're riding on board now with CSR West, who's about to show us what's happened to the AlphaTauri driver, and now multiple cars already coming into the pits, and ooh, you just saw it despawn there. I think he got some oversteer off the spook curve, and that must have unsettled his car and put it into the wall and given him terminal damage. That's really the only thing I can think of happening there as Seal Trout gets the first track limits time penalty of the day. Could be a scheduled 2-stop, could be a rain gamble for the medium runners. We'll see. We'll have to keep an eye on Seal Trout, Rustable Eel, and Sergeant Desivan. As now the safety car is coming in this lap, so Moon Jakela backing up the pack very nicely as they approach the pit straight now. He's going to get a pretty good getaway. Moon Jakela overtake on, obviously, since his battery was fully charged with the safety car. Ooh, very good getaway there from Snips SB behind, but enough to make up for the fact that he does have to pit, and everyone from 6th on back does not. We'll have to see. Jakela leading Snips into turn 1, followed by Pez, Brandon Brown, Alfisti, Raz, Seal Trout, and Rustable Eel. Everyone nice and clean and orderly into turn number 1. No one really getting too opportunistic yet, but Keystone Alfisti is really getting chased down by ABR Raz and Seal Trout. The soft tires, which Keystone Alfisti is currently on, they're not quite to the point where they would start seriously falling off performance-wise, but they are getting close to it. I believe it's 5 laps at Suzuka. Starts falling away to a noticeable extent. Bit of a truly train right now, forming behind ABR Raz as now Seal Trout goes for a dive. This is for 6th position, and it looks like he's going to make it stick. Ooh, riding aboard with Rustable Eel here, who has an excellent view of the action. They're pushing each other down the straight. And who's going to get it? They're side by side. They're going to be side by side coming into the spook curve. Who's going to back out? Looks like Raz is going to have to back out. Seal Trout pushes him off the track a little bit. Ooh, Raz is going to try the cutback though. ABR Raz is going to try the cutback, and Rustable Eel is now running on the back of these guys, but he doesn't get it. I think he got hindered on the exit of spook curve there, so Rustable will not be able to benefit. And now riding on board with Raz, and he has lost the position to Seal Trout. That was some audacious overtaking from Seal Trout, but Raz has a run here. Is he going to send it into the chicane? No, he isn't. He knows he's too far back. Ooh, but he touches Seal Trout. That might give him a tiny bit of minor front wing damage, and Snips sets the fastest lap of the race with 130.6. So it looks like Snips does have more immediate pace under his belt. In his pocket. He knows his strategy might be compromised by the safety cars. He goes around the outside of the hairpin. Ooh, not quite, but the cutback might work. And there's a yellow flag now in sector 2, and CSR Pit. Alfisti has been affected. Dark days for AlphaTauri today, as DC Rapid has already retired, and now his teammate Alfisti has been spun round. Now there's been a lead change. Snips SB has gotten by Mojekla for P1 here in this Japanese Grand Prix, and it looks like he's still got more battery on hand than Jekla now to defend the position. So that's huge for the Mercedes drivers. These guys appear to be on identical strategies, although they both still could choose between a soft to hard one-stop and a soft medium two-stop, theoretically. Now Jekla's coming back. Oh, he's got an excellent one into 130R corner, but he knows he's going to have to back out. 130R is not a good place to overtake. Will he send it in the chicane? Will he send it? Snips has the inside covered. Snips placing his car well there for the chicane. But Jekla will have the DRS here on the pit straight. Will that play a factor? No, it won't, because Snips is going to dive into the pit lane now to shed his set of soft compound tires, most likely in favor of hards. And yes, he is doing the one-stop strategy that served him so well at the HSA race in Australia. He is going on to the hard compound tire, ostensibly trying to undercut the 3 cars behind him, Jake Lopez and Brownie Brown. On his rivals compared to Sector 1. Ooh, but Multi-21's got to run. He's got to run. Is he going to send it? Yes, he does. Oh, there's contact. And CSR Multi-21 has come out the worst off for that. I think he might have front wing damage. No visible front wing damage, but maybe some minor damage there that's not really cosmetic, because there's a yellow flag down in the middle sector. As NG Pez, Mojekla both hit onto hard compound tires. Can Snips SB come out ahead of Mojekla and NG Pez? Has it been the undercut or has it been the overcut that's worked in? It looks like it'll be the undercut. Oh yes, that's a big undercut from Snips SB. He pits onto the hard tires 1 lap sooner, but already he has gained about a second. And there's a yellow flag now in Sector 1 as CSR West is spun around. Looks like he did that in a battle with Sergeant Desiman. He's currently ghosted, so Mojekla and NG Pez go by him without issue. But yeah, the Renault driver, he did not pit at any point after the restart. He is still out on 9-lap-old soft compound tires. And there's a yellow flag in Sector 3 now. Who is it? Gabriel Skills? No. Not sure who it was, but ooh, this is a big 3-way battle. For P5, CSR Field getting past the Williams of ABR as there, I believe. And CSR Multi-21 is going to follow through. Riding on board with Multi-21 now. And CSR West has gotten a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that's just adding insult to injury there for the Renault driver. As CSR Multi-21 continues to try and chase down CSR Filge. Not brand new. As Seal Drop makes pass for the lead on Brownie Brown. And Brownie Brown is finally pitting after a dozen laps. He is catching up to his teammate and to CSR Filge from the Ferrari. Will he be able to catch the both of them on the main straight with DRS? If he was able to do that, that would be a huge boon to him in his fight with Munjacia, as now ABR Raz dips into the pit lane to shed his extremely old medium tires, most likely for a set of hards. In the chat, ABR Skills currently running P2, albeit not a net P2. So running pretty well for himself at the moment. CSR Multi-21 in third, followed by CSR Filge and Snips SB, who's now caught right up to the back of CSR Filge. And actually, Multi-21 has already passed and put a gap to Filge in that last lap or so, as now Filge looking very unstable right now. You gotta wonder if he has front wing damage, considering how unstable he is. It's a yellow flag now in Sector 2. I don't know who that is. Oh, it's Multi-21. Just as I said, his fortunes had improved by getting past Filge. Well, Multi-21 has spun, and that's going to demote him all the way down to P9, I believe. No, only to P7. Now NG Pez is catching right up to the back of this train, as Snips SB has gotten by CSR Filge, but Mojekla has not, and that has allowed NG Pez to close right up to the back of him. So this will be a battle between the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren for a net P2, and that should make things very interesting indeed for the results of this race. The longer CSR Filge holds out, the more these two are likely to swap positions. Now, ooh, there's someone going very slowly. That's CSR West. Why is he going so slowly? The Renault driver being forced into the gravel trap just to let those 2 cars by. I'm not sure what's happening with him. Does he have front wing damage? Yeah, he does have front wing damage. I'm not sure from where. But yeah, that is very weird. What's equally weird is CSR JD, because he has only used the soft compound tires this race, and he's just pitted for another set of soft, so he has not satisfied the 2 compound requirements. So if he crosses the finish line on those tires, he's going to be disqualified. Jekla. That bonus point as, Steel Trout and Brownie Brown going side by side now for P7. As we run aboard a Filge. They touch. That is, and ABR Raz is now spun apparently, and Brandon Brown gets forced off the track by Sealed Trout. Jeez. And ABR Raz has spun out there, and it looks like he's lost not only P9 to Sergeant Benjamin, but also P10 to NG Pez. So Pez does now. Right now, that's the world is going right now, considering how far he is ahead of his team. And how we're looking at my team. He's got an excellent pace right now. He's at McLaren car, I must say. He's actually catching it. 1.1 finally. Although 1.1 is right now, we haven't seen a lot of penalties. So unless one track limits again in the near future, Pez will have to close down that 2-second gap fully and beat him on track, which doesn't look like he can do at the moment, but anything can still happen. And Snips SP is gone by ABR Skills. Snips has just passed ABR Skills on track, and that is the pass for the net race lead. Now the question is, how much will Rustable Eel hold up Snips SP? The longer Rust fights, the more of a chance Skills has to come back at Snips, because the more Snips will be held up. And it looks like, ooh, good run off there, but he has to lift off a little bit so he doesn't run it into the back of the racing point. Into the hairpin now. I'm surprised Rustable doesn't just get out of the way here, because he knows he has so many more penalties than the Mercedes behind him and the Alfa Romeo behind him. But he still fights. Still he fights, and that's to our benefit, because Skills is not by any means getting gapped right now by the front two. If anything, he's catching back up again. Although he only has barely more battery in the bank than Snips SP. And Rustable Eel, we saw how he was adeptly saving his battery earlier and his tires, and now that really is paying dividends for him, as he's using he's expending most of his overtake to defend from Snips SP. He locks up into the final chicane there. Rustable Eel definitely has some great racecraft, as there's a yellow flag now. Ooh, ABR Raz has spun out yet again in that part of the track at the end of Sector 1. Yeah, that's such a difficult corner to take if you're on a low downforce setup like Raz is. As now Snips has gotten a penalty. Snips SP has just gotten a track limits time penalty, and that is going to give ABR Skills the net lead of the race, although Mujekla had just gotten past the ABR Skills now, so that might make his job a little harder. But all Skills has to do now is not get any penalties and stay within 3 seconds of Snips, and he has the win of this race in the bag. All of these guys now separated by less than a second and a half. All of them within DRS range of one another in the last 2 laps of this race. Rustable Eel spins. Rustable Eel has spun at the end of Sector 1, and that's just cost him maybe the net P4. He still had a net P4 going on after penalties, but now he's being caught up pretty significantly by CSR Multi-21, who might try to snag 4th position from him. He just has to get within 3 seconds, and still Multi-21 has 1 fewer penalty than the Racing Point driver. But that changes the complexity of this race. Sealed Trout, he has a puncture. He has a tire puncture. I knew it. I absolutely knew it. Rustable Eel could not have stretched those medium tires that long through the race, and now he is spun because of a tire puncture. Not because he lost grip, but because of the puncture, and that is costing him so much. He just lost P6 to Sealed Trout, and CSR Fields is on a charge right now on those soft compound tires, and I think he is going to catch the Racing Point car. I'd be surprised if Rustable Eel was able to finish in the points at the things now. His race has fallen apart in an instant. And now there's a yellow flag in Sector 1. Yeah, back to that on the front. It's the final lap now. They're coming in. Mujekla and Snips SP. This is effectively a battle for second, because ABR Skills, I don't believe, has any penalties. So he might just snag the win out from under both of these guys, but will Mujekla get P2? No, I don't think he will. Snips SP is going to come home ahead of Mujekla. Yes. And ABR Skills is going to win the race. P3 on track, but no time penalties whatsoever for track limits. Oh my gosh, he's so lucky that Snips SP pushed the track limits enough to get a penalty right at the end there. That has cost Snips the win. He was ahead of both Mujekla, he was ahead of both Alfa Romeos on track, far and away. Snips could have won this race if he had just stayed off the curbs a little bit more. Here's your podium 3. ABR Skills, followed by Snips SP, followed by Mujekla, who couldn't quite get past Snips at the end there. He couldn't quite take advantage of Snips' penalty. Brownie Brown, meanwhile, finishing a solid P4, although he did benefit from some misfortune from others in the field. CSR Multi-21 finishing P5 with the 2 Ferraris in P6 and P7, Sealed Trout and Filch. Looks like NG Pez is going to come home with the fastest lap of the race, and CSR JD is getting classified, so I guess he must have been on the medium tires at some point that I missed, because apparently the game says he's used multiple compounds tire, and that Sergeant has been rounding out the points finishers. And Rustable Eel, I feel it for him so much. His race just came apart at the end there with that right rear tire puncture. And he's going to come home out of the points. It's really similar to what happened to Valtteri Bottas actually in real life yesterday at the British Grand Prix yesterday. Just running in a podium position, fighting for the podium, and then he just got a puncture and it ruined his race. He just ran his tires too long, and that has caused him to come home P11. ABR Raz, though, finished even further behind him as Seal Trout is awarded driver of the day by the game. That might be disputed by myself, since the duty of picking driver of the day ultimately falls to the commentator. But yeah, here is our podium 3, about to load it. Vinny 650 saying in chat, well done Skills, unlucky Snips. Yeah, that basically sums up Snips' race. Just unlucky at the end there, but still a great drive, especially from ABR Skills. One of our other excellent commentators, as well as the ABR HSA division head, is going to win today's CSR Grid 1 race, and he looks like an excellent candidate to fill the power vacuum left in Grid 1 by ABR Boo. Podium for Alfa Romeo, that'll be good for them in the constructors. They were already P2 in the constructors, but they've now got a healthy lead, as Boo's points they got from those first 3 race wins have just been deleted from Renault's total. And NG Pez doesn't need to come home with the fastest lap of the race, so he will get 5 points rather than just the 4 that he would get from finishing P8. And everybody except for CSR JD in the Red Bull and ABR Skills in the Alfa Romeo getting some kind of time penalty for track limits, I do believe.